There we go. So, um, welcome, folks. I'm Lars. I'll be your host for today for this session. Welcome to what I call the ExOperiences call. It's just a play with word, as you have guessed already. EXO, because we are all coming out of the same EXO tribe. Some may have been part of this for a long time, some maybe not for so long. It doesn't matter. And you're welcome regardless. You are very welcome. And ExOperiences is, yeah, obviously about sharing experiences. I see this as what it is. It's a community activity. This is my way, one of my ways to give back to the OpenExo community by hosting this session. I try to make it monthly, and I haven't been that successful on that, but I'm trying to, or at least on a regular basis. I think this is number 8 that we are doing. So we've been doing this for a while. I'll introduce that a little bit more and introduce myself a little bit more as well. But I really want you to introduce yourself first, because you're the important ones here, and what you have on top of mind is actually the most important thing. And we can kind of frame the session according to what you're eager to talk about and what's on your mind and what you would need experiences on and about. But the main theme for today, as I've defined it, is really about, creating consulting, coaching services, and maybe even businesses within the open EXO world. And this can be discussed in so many directions. So I look forward to hear your introductions, each of you, a little bit who you are, what you're trying to do, why EXO seems to be important to you and these things. And then we can dive into different experiences that are relevant to discuss in the session. So each of you get the most out of the session. We always try to use the chat here in Zoom. It's a great way to contribute to the discussion without necessarily speaking up, but you can do that as well. You can always unmute and say something. So it's a totally informal session. That's how I like it anyway. I hope you do as well. And the most important thing is to get to know each other, also build relations within the community, make friends, and that's going to help you get even more out of being part of the community moving forward. So with that, I want to say, and hi Vanessa, good to see you.
Hi, Lars.
So let's get started on the round of introductions. I think 1 or 2 minutes each, something like that. But if you feel like saying a little bit extra, that's fine with me. Who would like to go first? Okay, I will just call out somebody then. Yeah, that's how it goes. And Kelly, you happen to be first on my screen.
I was just about to say I'll jump in. Hi, I'm from Cape Town, South Africa. I'm quite new. I'm very new to the community. I only joined in this year. I got a taste of it at a tech conference in January or Feb last year in Cape Town, and it really piqued my interest. I'd also just left a full-time job and decided that I wanted to go and pursue the world of entrepreneurial activities and really wanted to create my own future. I was tired of being boxed and being told how to work. And so I've been on this journey, and just coming into contact with the OpenExo community, it really piqued my interest. And it's been amazing. I've loved it. The last few months have been exceptional. It's opened my mind. I've managed to unlearn a whole bunch of things, which is great. And I'm adding value to some of the clients that I do have, which is nice, using some of the EXO information and methodologies. And going forward, I'm still trying to work it out. I'm still trying to work out how I can add value, particularly in the African context. And that's why I have Lucy on this call. Hopefully we'll be creating something together where we can take a niche of EXO and then allow for a more sustainable, a better sustainable future to be achieved on this continent.
Wonderful. Wonderful, Kelly. It's always helpful if you have a little bit more thoughts on the role you would love to play with clients, and we can maybe help you navigate in that direction. If you don't have it now, great. Anyway, by asking questions during the session, we can help you navigate in the right direction. I'm sure inspire you, give you some examples of what could be done and what could be valuable in your market. Hope to be of value to you. So welcome on board, Kelly.
Thanks. Hope to learn from everybody.
We all learn from everybody in this community. That's why we hang around here for many years, and some of us have been doing this for a long time, and we still love it every single day. So you've definitely joined the right tribe here, Kelly.
Thank you.
Excellent. Okay, so Lucy has done the introduction more or less here in the chat because of background noise. Totally understandable. So welcome on board, Lucy. You're welcome to enter in the chat, Lucy, by the way, more about what you're hoping to accomplish, if not on this call, then in the coming, whatever, 6-12 months or something, what role you are playing or would like to play with the knowledge you have around EXO. So then we can help you in that way. So great. So next on my screen is you, Anne.
How lucky me.
Lucky.
So I'm Anne Riley. As I said at the very beginning, I'm in Barcelona. I've been here for 10 years. I had a varied corporate career in terms of different countries. I've lived and worked in the US, where I'm from, in Asia, in Hong Kong and Singapore. And then I was in San Francisco and then New York, where I joined Yahoo, and then moved over to Barcelona. But left the corporate world kind of similar to Kelly, just had enough. And I learned about the immune system and wanted to try and help fix that outside of the corporate world because I was a victim of it. Now I want to be a positive force about the immune system. I've recently done a sprint with Lars in Morocco, which was as well a very much a learning experience, a great experience through I think it's probably one of the first sprints, if not the first sprint run in Morocco, different culture, different company setup, then the pandemic and the lockdown, work from home, which they were not used to, and then Ramadan. So we went through a lot in the sprint. So that was great. It's a great learning experience, and and great outcome. And then I'm also working in some projects here in Barcelona on the sprint with one of the government agencies here, and have a thought I want to run by the group later when we get into some other topics.
Thank you very much, Anne. If anybody should go on, then it would be Anne about telling about exciting projects and experiences. But yeah, we got to keep it short and nice. And that was excellent, Anne. Thank you. We'll get back to Anne later for sure. So that's going to be interesting. Next on my screen is you, Paco. Over to you.
Okay, well, it's the Barcelona gang together then. I'm Paco Briseño. I'm a Mexican living in Spain. I think we arrived 21 years ago, or 22. Well, this stage it doesn't matter. But I have been traveling all over Europe. I moved working for PeopleSoft, that was an ERP and, in particular, an HR software company. So I was product manager. I did a lot of things. I was there with them 10 years. And that must mark my career, because as a matter of fact, well, I studied industrial engineering. I started my consulting practice doing logistics and manufacturing, but then I moved to the financial sector, and I was invited to join PeopleSoft, and now my career has been dedicated to people solutions, now starting with the technology. And I was there until Oracle bought PeopleSoft, and well, the corporate life was completely different with Oracle than with PeopleSoft, so I decided to quit and started my own consulting firm, no, and a boutique one. But basically, well, implementing HR solutions. And from there, well, there was an aha moment in one point of time saying that, well, it's the people. No? I think that is really that, well, for me, as a matter of fact, from the attributes, it's the people. No? It's not the technology. No? We use the technology as a solution. And that was, well, is the typical thing, no? That we are looking for shortcuts, or people are looking for shortcuts in everything. And well, technology is one of those traps. No? And well, this is what I'm doing, basically, while trying to implement solutions for companies, well, trying to align interest, no, between the company and the people, between different areas in the companies, and with technology in as one of the tools, no? But also methodologies and mindset change, basically. So a lot of coaching and a lot of hope in humanity and our possibilities to change, and change management a lot. And I think that all those things will put me in the track to to join Open Nexon, because I think that is a lot of that together with the ingredients and the recipe. So well, I started my certification last September, I think, and I have been as active as possible. At that time, I was trying to also reconvert our services to include also sustainability as one of the elements there. Was sustainability, circular economy, and regeneration. That was the idea. But then well, we had the COVID and we have postponed. I think that is more important now, but I think that is going to be, I have other initiatives where I'm going to play with that, but as part of the business, well, we are focusing still on the HR transformation. I think that we can disrupt that area, we can do better, or the organizations can do better there, because with the mindset change. And that's my humble mission. If I can do something in that area, is what we are trying to do.
Wow, that was a lot of touch points, all super interesting, Pargo. Excellent meeting you here. So I have a feeling there will be years and years of great conversations coming up on many things. Yeah. So excellent. Welcome. Welcome here. Next is Javi. Over to you, Javi.
Hello, everybody. Well, I'm Javi. I'm from Almeria, Spain. Well, I've been working on the industrial sector, manufacturing, and also in the maritime works sector. Well, that was some time ago. I started my, well, the EXO journey, like, well, maybe a little less than 1 year ago. So I loved the philosophy, the methodology. So I became a consultant, then a coach, and I even well, participated in a special sprint with Lars here, and also with Carol. And it really, both the training and the sprint we run transformed me. I can assure you, 1 year ago, I wouldn't be on this call talking freely with you. So I'm super happy to be a part of this community, and happy to know you all.
Thank you very much, Javi. We're happy to know you for sure. So reach out to Javi if you want inspiration, if you want different perspectives on things, Javi is involved in pretty much everything in the EXO world these weeks and months, so he knows what's happening. Excellent.
Yeah, also in Purpose Alliance, which is a great initiative also. Paco and I are active members of it. Also Carol. It's a great thing to be involved with.
It is, yeah. As I said, everything. Javi is involved in everything. So that's very nice. Great, awesome. Thank you, Javi. Vanessa is next.
Hello, everyone. Great to see some new faces and some friendly faces as well. I'm Vanessa. I'm based in Delray Beach, Florida, which is just 1 hour north of Miami. And right now, I guess my focus is really Culture Climax. Culture Climax is my creative agency that I started quite a few years ago, but it's evolved now more into an agency where we help artists and creatives and SMEs really tap into shifting their mindset, but also understanding the importance of a brand story and a narrative, and then also baking in some of these fun EXO methodologies and concepts that I've been introduced to and then been getting familiar with over the past few years. So it's been really fun turning this into offerings, doing some workshops, introducing MTP and leveraged assets and fun things like that to some clients over the past few weeks has been really fun because, you know, pivoting business models and exponential terms have been really more popular lately due to COVID. So they're like, oh, Vanessa's been talking about these on social media for years. Maybe we should talk to her. So it's been really fun seeing that funnel of interest and come our way due to just being kind of a thought leader when it comes to culture and tech and being one of those agencies that's kind of been positioning themselves like that for a while. So we've been helping some fun pivots happen on the client side. And then on the EXO side, I've been really just trying to jumpstart the EXO for Unity initiative and team, trying to make sure that we bring in everything that's happening with this upheaval since in the US over race and make sure that, you know, we're having that same diversity discussion, that unity discussion in our own community here and trying to see how we can bring in this ingenuity of EXO to some of the solutions and problems that are happening on that front. So that's been really fun. I've been able to work with Kelly and we have the challenge happening soon, the purpose challenge happening around future of unity and Black Lives Matter happening this month. So would love Javi and Paco and anyone else who's involved in the other challenges to either talk to you so we can prepare accordingly or bring you on because we've been having these weekly discussions called Heart and Mind Melds to prepare for the purpose challenge. So we're bringing in all sorts of thought leaders, we're bringing in people who are leading organizations to really prepare the right solutions and the right thoughts and the right mindset and education for the challenge, because this is obviously a really sensitive topic and not all of us are equipped. Like Kelly said on the first call, like, are we the right people to do this? Like, maybe not, but at least we could do is educate ourselves and hopefully come with an open heart and in the right direction. So that's what we're doing every week leading up to the purpose challenge. So just having fun balancing Culture Climax and unity stuff, and then also some fun other projects on the horizon. Thank you.
Woo, that was like drinking from the fire hose there, Vanessa. That was amazing. And it's all so inspiring. And Vanessa and I have been working together for quite a while, actually, in many different constellations. And you know, if you want to see a great example of somebody who can transform themselves and their own business, that's Vanessa. Go to Vanessa to hear how to do that, that's what the world needs. So there are exciting things happening there, definitely, always. So thank you, Vanessa. Let me see. So I know Carol is off cam and she's super busy preparing for a session.
Okay, I can introduce.
Oh, thank you, Carol.
I'm trying to, I listen, trying to prepare my proposal.
You're next then.
Hi, hi everyone. Sorry, I wanted to listen to. Well, I joined this session. I think you have 4 sessions. I think I've joined at least 2 out of the other 3.
This is number 8, if not
Yeah,
9.
but yeah. I've joined quite a fair bit. I'm Carol. I've been a consultant all my life, and I then quit consultant as a partner in end 2011 and joined a government agency. That's where I started to learn, I learned about design thinking, and I set up the first design thinking school in Malaysia. And also during that time, I met Salim virtually. That time I didn't have Zoom. I just talked to him on the, some conference facility and invited him to Malaysia. Then subsequently, 2 years later, he wrote a book on EXO. And then I recently, last year, reconnect with him to learn more about what he has been doing on EXO. That's where he introduced me to Open EXO. And I got myself certified with a couple of courses, and I'm now actively involved in a number of things that are not fee paying, and including Purpose Challenge, working with Lars, and also looking forward to do more in EXO coaching, as well as training, and of course, if any opportunity, consulting, if there is. But I would like to focus more a lot on coaching and mentoring. And I'm also introducing this to a lot of my clients. And I think it will take some time for them to understand, but certainly any clients who are going through digital transformation, they should know about EXO, although they find that the name itself is still very unfamiliar to them. But we have books that we can introduce. That's what I have been doing. Yeah. Looking forward to work a lot more with Lars and team. And I know Harvey since I joined the Sprint Hero about the project, the Sahara project. That's why. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Carol.
A lot to share.
Carol she's actually a thought leader in pretty much everything she's doing, I can tell you, including design thinking. She's unbelievable. I cannot believe I have Carol in my training programs. It should be the other way around, but it will be, I'm sure, soon. So thank you, Carol.
Thank you. Yeah. Sorry, I have to go on no video because I was also working and listening.
Good luck. Good luck
Yeah.
with the workshop.
Thank you.
Yeah. Excellent. So, and welcome to Magali. Magali
is good. Okay,
Magali.
hi to all. Well, I am the partner of Paco Briseño. He introduced me in this community. I'm new in all of these things. It's very interesting for me. I am a consultant. I am, and I was a consultant for a long time. So I'm so interested in this new way to do things, this disrupted way to do things. It's very good for me.
Wonderful, Magali. Thank you very much for your brief introduction here. We look forward to get to know you in the next many calls or whatever activities that could come out of these things. So looking forward to learn more about your work as well. So thank you.
Thank you.
And last but not least, for sure, Nokutaba, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
There you are. Woo! Welcome. How are you?
Thank you. I'm fine, thank you. Yes, my name is Nogutaba. I saw the advert of the session in the OpenEXO platform. I have been doing the programs. I've just completed the trainer and the coach programs last week. And I think in April, I did the consultancy one. I'm a trained insurance underwriter. I'm new into the sort of consultancy. So I'm I'm expecting to learn and to hear some experiences from other colleagues so that I can be better in executing this consultancy.
Wonderful, very exciting. Is there any particular domain that is that insurance that you're working in, or any other domains?
Currently, my project is in insurance,
Yeah.
but I belong to a bigger group of companies where it's not just insurance, there are other sectors within that. Once I'm successful with insurance, I'll then be able to work in the other group companies.
Excellent. Fantastic. Welcome on board, and looking forward to work with you and support you on your journey. It's an exciting journey, I can tell you, and it never stops. So looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Excellent. So now we got the introductions done, and I think it's always worthwhile spending a solid amount of time on that, and then building relations and connecting with each other. And I'll explain why in just a moment. And you figured it out, but I think it's actually very important for the way we should be working as coaches and consultants in the future, that we probably will never have the same team in all projects, right? We will bring in different perspectives, different backgrounds in new dynamics, and I that's some of the power that we can bring, which is different from how the consulting industry typically operates, where you would work with the same consultant for a period of time, but here we can actually offer way more dynamic and more diverse setups. So we can get back to all of that. Let me just briefly introduce myself and a few of the projects that I've been part of, and insurance is actually part of it, part of that story. So it's an exciting domain to be working in, and it's a domain that badly needs transformation as well. I want to share just a few visuals, and I'll keep it short. And when I do my introduction, please feel free to post specific questions in the chat so we can address some of that if you feel inspired to ask questions. This session is for you, and so I want it to be relevant and deliver some value. So let me just briefly show a few visuals for those of you who are new to this primarily. So as I said, I call this ExOperiences, and it is really about sharing our transformation experience from the transformation work. As you know, OpenEXO is the global transformation community and an ecosystem. And that's kind of, we all see the need for transforming individuals and organizations and institutions, and everything needs to change. It is changing, so we need to change as well. And we are growing an understanding in our community of how that can be done, how that can be facilitated. We are learning together, essentially. And that's what we do in this session as well. My personal MTP is resourcefulness for breakthroughs in everyone. And I'm actually a nerd, which you have guessed already, I'm sure. I'm an electronics engineer from background and specialized in algorithm design, that kind of pretty hardcore stuff. But it's many years ago that that somebody allowed me to touch code and electronics. Nobody allows me to do that anymore, and I'm grateful for that. It gives me the privilege to actually work with transformation, and actually to a large extent I do a lot of training. I lead sprint teams and through transformation projects with large corporations, with NGOs, a lot in the education space, by the way. It's a passion area of mine. So I'm more about, actually, I'm about resourcefulness, because that's something we all have, but we're often not allowed to bring it to the table. That's what the immune system is really preventing us from doing. But if we can just unleash our resourcefulness, we can solve a lot of challenges that are not immediately solvable today. And breakthroughs is somebody that energizes us and makes us believe that we can have another breakthrough and another one and another one. And that helps us into this positive spiral. I'm not going through what I've done in the past, but I've actually applied a lot of the EXO attributes in my own life on different businesses, been building communities, been working with algorithms and a lot of other stuff. We are this global community powered by OpenEXO, and as I said, I've been doing quite a few of these ExOperiences calls now, starting back in August 2019, with a lot of amazing friends from our community all the way. Some of these calls I managed at the point when I had access to this. Maybe I'm not sure. I managed to upload some of these recordings to the media library in the OpenEXO platform. Please go and find them there. But I had at some point to set up a dedicated ExOperiences landing page where you can find all the recordings, and you signed up here. That means that you have found that page, so you would find all these recordings easily there. But this is a community activity, and I was one of the relatively early members to join this movement, and I've been part of a lot of the EXO sprints. That is one of our signature services that I'm sure many of you are interested in delivering as well. And I've been delivering these sprints in many places in Latin America, North America, Europe, Asia, Africa. This is Bitdefender. Anne and I did a lot of this together. This is a company providing kind of cybersecurity, antivirus, these great services. This is actually a screenshot from some virtual ideation sessions I facilitated. This was at the Bad Bank of Spain. Actually, now that several of you are from Spain, Sareb, you would know Sareb very well. So we did some virtual ideation sessions, and it's actually easy to do. There's no barrier to deliver anything that we want to deliver to our clients. I'm the founder of Sprint Hero. Sprint Hero is really here to help you be the sprint hero. So we want you to be out there in the trenches with organizations and run the transformation. I'm more like here to mentor or to offer tools, thoughts, coaching, whatever you need in your transformation work. But I do also deliver sprints and workshops, and under the banner of Sprint Hero, been delivering with Anne on the call here, and both sprints, and we are together delivering, for example, this 3-hour workshop on delivering your or developing your MTP. And I just want to plant some ideas in your heads to what can be done as an EXO coach or consultant in your own business. And here are also some rough examples of what can be done. So in a sprint, as a matter of fact, there are many sub deliverables that you can deliver also independently. And there's a long tail of support clients will need after you begin a transformation project with a client. And you know, there's a lot we can share depending on what you really need for your own next steps in building your business or building your service. Here's some coaching models that I've been. This is actually a very famous, well-proven coaching model that I've kind of localized for EXO use. Yeah, that is. I'm not, you know, continuing diving into more slides here, but this was, as I said, just to give you a little bit of glimpse of, you know, what I've been doing in the past 5 years now. It's been all EXO. I've been brainwashed with EXO, so that's all I can talk about now. And I'm and I want to stop talking about what I do and start talking about what you guys do. And I want to make sure that you can walk away today at least with some inspiration and some thoughts on how you can be unique as whether a consultant, coach, or something else in your work with your clients. And I think there's never been there's some great stuff in the chat. I'll get to that in a moment. There's never been a better time to actually come out very uniquely with very relevant offerings out there than now. And you're learning just the right thing at the right time to go and help organizations and individuals through very challenging times. And I've only lived so many years. There's a very long history before I even came to this planet with lots of challenges as well, and maybe even bigger challenges. But we can tell how COVID-19 has disrupted pretty much everything. We know there's a lot of more disruptive powers that will be hitting us in the next even month and for sure years. It's not going to be easier from here on. Being a company, being any other kind of organization, it's not going to be any easier. Unfortunately, that's the bad news. The good news is the world needs us. And the first thing I want to highlight here is the world needs our mindset, and I'm literally meaning our mindset. People love to talk to somebody who's optimistic, who's positive, who believes that the world can change. We can change it. We can have an impact. We can change our organizations and our way of working. Because and you just need to, if you can, go into the streets. If it's safe enough, you will find a lot of people who are depressed, who cannot see into the future, right? For many understandable reasons. The same goes with consulting companies and others who are like, I can sell you this many hours, but I feel depressed and I look depressed, right? And I keep hearing my clients saying that, you know, one of the best things of working with EXO people is that they are so optimistic. The world may be going down the drain and we know it, but we are still optimistic and we still need to fight until the last minute. And we are there to do that. And we believe that this can be done. And people appreciate that a lot. Even that in itself can sometimes be enough to secure a deal. Obviously, in reality, it takes a bit more. So I need to talk a bit into that as well. But your mindset is going to make the whole difference, and I can feel you have it. So keep that and keep believing that you're doing the right thing. And another thing I find very important is never to work alone. And it's very easy to fall into the trap of trying to even approach a client alone because it may be a good relation of yours. You have known them for a while. You're trying to sell them something. But it's very easy to shoot a sponsor inside the organization for hiring an independent consultant. What if that person is out of business next month? What if you know, something happens, or or how can you be the best answer to solve a problem as an independent consultant. It's actually quite hard to defend being an independent consultant. We love, each of us, being an independent consultant, but it's really hard to defend it out there in the market. And you don't need to. Actually, it's a mistake if you try, and you have, what is it, more than 5,000 of us now, colleagues. So, and you got to see us all as colleagues, but colleagues that you don't pay for, unless, hey, I need Kelly on this, I need for sure Anne on this, I need Vanessa on this, right, on this particular project. And that's what I started talking about, that we have each other here. And when we know each other from sessions like this, we know who to reach out to when we have a certain opportunity. And you go to your client with a team in mind, a delivery team in mind, but that may change, and you can change it when you learn more about the opportunity. And this is actually a unique selling point, which is very powerful. So you're not alone. You're a company of more than 5,000 exponential thinkers, all with different competences, and many with cutting edge experience from startups, from blockchain, from AI, and whatever you need. Pretty much everything you're going to find here in the community. So the way of working is super important, first of all, and you have a unique proposition by doing this. Specifically, how you can do it in your case, probably a longer conversation, which we're happy to have. I just want to plant that seed in your head, and so I'm sure you can take that away from the session today. And then maybe a little bit about the industries out there. We know that Nokutaba is in the insurance industry right now. The very first 10-week EXO sprint that was ever done was actually an insurance broker in Mexico City. And I love telling this story, not also because it was my first real experience with the EXO methodologies. It was the very first sprint ever done. It was very exciting. It was a great learning experience, but the real thing really happened 1 year after that sprint, when the earthquake hit Mexico City in 2017. It was devastating at so many levels. I sometimes show a short video from that was actually recording during that that earthquake, just to get a sense of how scary that is, how devastating it is to families. And the families in Mexico affected by it, in many cases, were left on their own by their insurance company. That it was easy to say, hey, this is force majeure, we are not covering you guys, you're on your own. And actually our client, which is Interprojección, they had gone through this 10-week sprint. They knew that they were a purpose-driven organization. They were here to protect families when they needed. So Interprojección stepped up and said, hey guys, we have a free insurance plan for those who need it. Here it is, come and take it. And they could bring that to market in 48 hours because they had gone through a sprint where they learned to be agile, they learned to think big in new ways. They put together a team of EXO alumni that could turn this around, offer a free insurance plan, and to actually manage this abundance of new clients. They brought to market a chatbot, a customer support chatbot. That was the only way they could manage this intake of new families to the business. So they launched a chatbot, and also in, like, I think 70 something hours, something like that. So a stunning example of what mindset really means, and purpose, and these things. They did the right thing when the moment was there that the market needed it. And that's something, that's also a story you can tell. I can provide you with the whole story and all of that if and when you need it. But the story is relevant in any industry, really. because it's not today. The consumers are not appreciating your shareholder value. They appreciate the impact that you want to have, your sustainability approach, and all these things. Consumers today vote with their money, and they appreciate purpose-driven organizations. It's a good business to be a purpose-driven organization. So you have some really solid pitch you can actually deliver when you're trying to sell your project out there. And if you need help on that, Anne Riley is the person to go to here. She has a mean pitch that works. Go to Anne for help on that. And so that's just to give you full confidence that this is the right approach, really, to live in an uncertain world where what you're planning to do is not possible tomorrow because the whole thing got turned around by COVID-19 or by something else. You need to have this mindset to survive, let alone thrive, and be adaptable. And that's what you can do with what you have learned from your courses, from your training, and from your daily work. And if you need artillery and ammunition, then that's what we are here for, to help you. Excellent. Let me have a look at the chat here. Yes. And it's excellent, those of you who are leaving your LinkedIn or whatever you feel like sharing to connect. That's excellent. Vanessa promoted a very important activity, the EXO for Unity. Check it out. It's very important. The time is right now. So Nokutaba is asking, please advise if there's a template for EXO OKR. And there is, and actually there's even a workshop, and there's even I've been actually creating a workshop on EXO OKRs, and also how to apply the framework, how to overcome the challenges. And I've been delivering it to a couple of clients, most recently in Thailand last December. I just made it back to Denmark, where I'm based, before everything shut down there. But we did actually base the whole sprint on OKR as a way to measure objectives and key results, and to transform out of traditional operational metrics and into innovation accounting. And that's super hard. So I'm happy to share that with everyone at slide level, and these things. I can just tell you it's super hard to really do in real life with an organization. But so what I will do is actually run a session on that to kind of support the content and help you to get started. If you want to work with this with your clients, you definitely should, but there's a really steep learning curve. There's the immune system from the organization will hit you really hard. I can still feel it on my old body, I can tell you. Because the CFOs and all those, the board, they don't appreciate innovation accounting. They want traditional metrics. So this is a hard thing to do, but it's all worth it if the organization really wants this. So let me invite you to a whole separate session just on that, because there's so much you need to prepare yourself for before you can make that work. But it's important to turn into autonomous teams, with full transparency when it comes to objectives and these things. But it's very exciting. It's very rewarding when you can make it work. But it's not easy. So if that's okay, Nokutaba, that I will send you an invite and we can play together on that in itself. So I'll do that.
I'd love to join that OKR
I'll
workshop.
invite you all invited.
I need all the tools.
I did actually I did a couple of sessions I think a year or two ago with the community, and like I think in 30 minutes after I'd announced it, I had like 50 signups. There's a lot of people in the community who are curious about this and interested in it, so it might actually run out of hands, but we should be able to manage abundance, right? So let's do it anyway. Excellent. What other questions here? I'll just read out Kelly's question, and then I want to hand over to Anne in just a few moments for something that we're working on that we think you should consider for your clients as well. Kelly is asking, is it the future though? Impact accounting is something I've been trying to get my head around. Yeah, who knows the future, Kelly? But it is important not to at least look at lagging indicators and look at predictive indicators and even prescriptive indicators and experimentation, for example. Look at that, how many experiments you're running quarterly, monthly, does indicate that you have a better chance of innovation. But if you look at financial results, that's always historical data. So in that aspect, I believe it's important that we bring in innovation accounting and impact accounting, at least as a partial part of the solution to this conversation. We also probably cannot get rid of traditional metrics, and maybe we shouldn't. It's probably going to be a hybrid model, I think, that you will need. Yeah, but it is a bit hard to wrap our heads around. All right, Anne, I want to hand over to you to give a brief introduction to what we're working on.
Sure, thanks, Lars. And I know we only have a few minutes left, and that's fine. And
sorry about that. Yeah.
That's okay. Oh, no. I was just saying that I was going to say if anybody has any questions afterwards and wants to talk further, then just ping Lars or me. But one of the things that we've been talking about for a long time is how hard it is to get started after you get your coach certification. So you've got it and you're like, great, I'm excited. You've gone through those 5-6 grueling weeks and you're like, okay, what do I do now? And also particularly in this environment when, companies are really conscious about where they're spending their money and how to, thinking about how to survive, it's hard to go in and pitch, a full sprint and have, all of the, the Awake, the Align, all of the workshops and, 4 teams, 10 weeks. So what we're doing is putting together a multi-company sprint, and I wanted to run this by you and see, gauge your interest. I've talked to a few other recently certified coaches who thought it was a really a great idea and something that would help them get started. So I'm just going to share my screen with a visual. So the idea would be that we would start the, we would have a multi-company sprint starting all at the same time, but as a coach, you could bring in your own team and you could bring in, you might want to bring in just, one team from one company. It might be a core team or it might be an edge team. And also you could choose between 5 weeks or the whole 10 weeks. And this would be, we've got 2 different tracks here as well. One is the company focused sprint. So kind of the traditional sprint where it's just one company and the team is working on that company's problems, either on the core or the edge. Or we're also introducing the, a challenge focus. And Paco, when you were talking about the HR industry, I mean, that's a super interesting type of, area to bring a a challenge around where multiple different types of companies in different verticals could participate. So what the idea is that instead of having to go out and sell this big package to one company, you could sell essentially a smaller package, again, for 1, 2, or you could bring more teams if you'd like. And then Sprint Hero would be the central point in doing all of the sprint coordination. And then everybody would share in the Awake and the Align. And then we would provide weekly tips both to participants and to the coaches. So essentially a coach the coaches. And then also as you use your advisor tickets, and that's up to you how many you sell, that we would give you advice on how to find the best advisors for the topics that you need. So this would be essentially a fee towards Sprint Hero to access all of this information, which you would bundle into your pricing to your company, and then be able to have a modular approach as to what you go out and pitch to your clients and prospects. So we're trying to break it down so that it's a more manageable package to get started with. And as I said, I've had some feedback already, but I would love to hear now, or we can talk later because I think Lars has another meeting coming up.
No, I'm okay. From my
okay.
side, I'm okay.
Okay, sorry.
For once.
So yeah, so that's the idea, and we're looking at a September start date. After the summer or winter period, depending upon what hemisphere you're in. But wanted to get your kind of thoughts on that, if this was something attractive to you, as some of you are pretty newly certified. And, it is, as Lars was saying, great to work on these sprints with a team. And you just get so much more out of it, having these different perspectives, different coaching styles, and being able to, share that information and get a lot of learnings out of it. So we'd love to hear.
Great idea. It's really good. No, I think that, as a matter of fact, it's not only for us, but also for a lot of clients that I think that they don't want to invest in the whole setup. So This is really going to create a lot of opportunities to start and try, and maybe after trying, they are going to go for the full strength for them internally. It's a fantastic idea.
Great. Well, I'll put that as one check of strong interest.
Tony writes, very good idea. Yeah.
And quick question for you. So is this really geared toward people who are certified as a coach?
Yeah, well, I think if you're a consultant, then and you have a client, we can certainly team people up with a coach. That's not a problem, and you can, consultant can work that out in terms of, how the pricing works as well.
Fantastic. And also, if there are opportunities like beyond the coaching role per se, or someone who has like a client, like I'd love to talk about other ways to get involved, whether it's, coordinating or shadowing or advising in some way, because I would love to see the process like unfold and then potentially bring that on in the future. Great.
Okay, thank you.
And just for context, in terms of, different coaches and consultants like each of you have different preferences for how you each want to work with your client. Maybe you want to do all the work yourself or most of it yourself with some support, or maybe you actually don't want to do the work yourself, but obviously you want to keep a margin from the deal, but bring in a team to come and help deliver this. Either way is great, right? They're both good scenarios, and there are many versions of this which are all possible. a lot of the work that we are doing is actually try to create this setup, how this could be delivered, what the model could look like, figure out the pricing and all of that. But the challenge, as Anne mentioned, is many organizations run away when they say, we need to commit 4 teams for 10 weeks. And wow, and the cost is high, and what do we get out of it? And we have certainly learned to build a pretty solid sales pitch, but it's still a big project to take on, especially if you're new to it, and also find it hard to answer the many questions you get. So this setup is actually, it will give you everything that you don't have. You have the client, but you don't have yet the experience, and you don't need to sell the whole sprint here. This is broken down, and you just, bring in your client, and we actually take care of everything that you don't want to do yourself, but you can take on as big a role in this as you want yourself as well. So
Well, I think we'll be, I'm going to share this with some other coaches, get some more feedback, but and then we'll be working on the next step and the pricing. We already have pitch decks that we can help you with, but we'll be sending out some more information. But as you have any other input or feedback, we'd love to hear it. I think it would be.
And we are going to be in contact with you, of course, for sure. Can Maga as well, Magali. Yeah. That is my partner, so
yes,
we are working together. So.
Great. So, and
thanks for the. Sorry.
Oh, no, I was going to just say that I have run one of these in Barcelona with 3 companies, and it did go, that was our first experiment, and it was really successful. And one was a energy company, one was a real estate association, and the other was a government organization. So it all worked very well. And I think the mix of companies and industries and coaches, I learned a lot from the other coaches and hearing, the presentations from different industries. It's just really, I think, a really exciting approach.
I could just add to that, and just as usual inspired me. Thank you, Anne, for inspiring me. I just wanted to add that you may get the question, if you present this to your client, that they are not comfortable sharing, their own business information in front of other companies. But actually, they don't have to. In this setup, you can choose a couple of participation models. You can be part of the open collaborative sprint, where everything you do say will be heard by others. And that's okay. But if you prefer to keep things for yourself, you can actually run your own dedicated track with your coach. You still benefit from all the facilitation, the awake, the align, and a lot of other things. But it will be kept, you will work separately and not part of the open collaboration sessions. So that is still an option if you want to keep things confidential. In particular, if it's a core strategic initiative you want to work on, you might want to prefer to work that way. But just a quick thing to the open innovation approach. It's something I've been doing a lot, and it's always exciting for me to keep validating that it does work. And you can even have competitors working on the same sprint, on the same challenge, and it works, I can tell you. And most don't think so. They think this is crazy talk, I'm not going to do that. But I did a sprint, and this was even before the EXO days. I did a sprint here in Copenhagen in the health tech sector. I had 7 health tech providers which were competing on a daily basis, but they actually agreed to join the same sprint in the same room. What we did was first identify the common challenges. They had some barriers to market that they all were facing, and they could actually easily collaborate to overcome those barriers. And when they did overcome the barrier, now they could go back to compete and go to market in the different ways. And anyway, they were not directly comparable in their offerings. They still had their own niches, but they could actually break down some go-to-market barriers that they were all facing that were preventing them from being successful. And they could collaborate on that because they know the industry, they knew the barriers, they knew the end clients. They just need the facilitation. And it worked really well. And I've done it again since. It works really well. So just to give you some ammunition for your conversations on this. And we have a lot more ammunition, Anne and I, whenever you...
We'll squeeze you.
Yes, squeeze us like the lemon. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, great session. As a matter of fact, well, this part is great, but I have to say that the first part was a motivational one in our career, in our journey with Hope and EXO. So thanks for the session.
Thank you all for being part of it and for being part of our community. What you do is really needed out there, right? So I'm glad if the motivation worked. Yes, you can do it. We can do it. So, and let us know if there's anything you need. The OKR is noted, so I'll invite for that, and we'll follow up on this multi-company sprint and invite you to be part of that if you find that is relevant. And you'll get an invite also to the next ExOperiences call and all that. Let us know if you need any. If you need more motivation or if you need anything else, happy to help.
It's always welcome. Thank you very much.
Yes. Have a great week.
Thanks,
yes.
everyone.
Take care.
Soon.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.